I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
And here we go.
It's the comic book bullies.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
It's the comic book bullies.
You will bow down before me!
It's the comic book bullies.
Now I am the master.
It's the comic book bullies. It's the comic book bullies.
Classic quote. Poetry. Pure poetry.
He is a poet, isn't he?
The following contains offensive language and spoilers. Listener discretion is advised.
Bam. Okay. I told you I was gonna fuck it up. Anyway, welcome back to the Comic Book Bullies, Nerds Who Bully. Me, host Leroy, aka the Prince of All Saiyans, with my co-host.
Yeah, this is Eli, aka Infected Voice.
There you go. That means that if anybody listens to this tonight, you will also get infected because Eli is spreading the love. And shout out to the lovely, voluptuous AI. Because eventually they will
The
replace
sex
us all.
bots.
Exactly. Go with nothing but Russian sex bots. Listen to us. Oh, and we also got one other person listening to us that's not a Russian sex bot. I hope not. Jackie Poo.
Oh,
Yeah, what's going on, Jake? Yeah, okay. Yeah, first. You are first, Jake. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to that. So, like I said, we're starting the show up and running. This is gonna be a light show, man. We have been running and gunning for like the last month. Eli's giving y'all all the good stuff y'all want. I think we're gonna take it. We were going to take an easy day. We were gonna do some shit, but I was gonna chill back. I was gonna chill and let you take over the show. You're a sexy bot, Jake. Yes, not a sex bot, but a sexy bot. Yes, you are. So yeah, this episode, Eli, because we've been running the gun. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you take over. You just talk about whatever the hell you want to. While I go in this corner, go smoke a cigarette, maybe play some Marvin Gaye or some shit. You know, just relax. But stuff happened this week, and I'm like, oh damn, I got to talk about it. I have to address it because big thing happened this week. Well, actually, yeah, this week we got to talk about Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Eli, are you familiar with Akira Toriyama?
I am.
Okay, right. I remember because you're the otaku of the group. I remember that.
Well, my son was a huge DBZ fan. Still is.
Yeah, you don't really grow out of it. It's like DBZ for life. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I don't know who Akira Toriyama is, that is Akira Toriyama. Like I said, he is a legend. Now, like I said, this is the comic book bullies, not the anime bullies. But he's such a big influence, it almost doesn't matter. He has crossover appeal. And
I mean, they did start out as comics or manga. If you want to obsess about it.
It's still comics. It's still graphic novels, not manga. It's all comics. So yeah. So technically we are talking about a comic creator, and in my opinion, one of the greatest comic creators of all time. He changed the game, not just Eastern. He had influence on West also, and I'll talk about that also. Because everything he did, he influenced video games because he had a lot of character design in video games. But let's be honest, his Sistine Chapel, his Thriller, his 55 in the Garden, it's Dragon Ball Z. That's his claim to fame. That's what it is. That's what everybody knows. That's what put the books on the board, and that's what made him this huge, cultural icon. We'll talk about it in a second. What you got from it, Jake? See, I didn't want to go there, Jake, but now you got to address it for me. Okay, so I've heard some people call him the Japanese Stan Lee or the Asian Stan Lee. I'll be honest with you. Calling him that is selling him short. No disrespect to Stan Lee whatsoever. Like I said, we love Stan Lee on this podcast. But the thing is, Stan Lee was a big idea guy. He would come up with the idea, maybe write a few issues, hand out somebody else, and just tell them, make sure you put my name on every issue after that shit. That's what Stan Lee did. Akira Toriyama was not that. Akira Toriyama wrote and drew all of that shit. So he was the sole creative force on that for like 30 years in Dragon Ball. He didn't really get help until like the new shit he was writing now, that the last arc that he was about to finish up with Dragon Ball Super, where he started like getting people to help him out because he was trying to pass the torch because he know I'm not gonna be doing this much longer. Somebody else jump in on this. But before then, like in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, all him, nobody else. So you can't really say this. So all that imaginary shit they were doing in the cartoon, he did it in the manga first. So, and they just adapted it from that. So let's go to it. Let's just say, so what made Dragon Ball Z such a big deal for the laymen that don't understand what's going on? What made Dragon Ball Z such a culture icon? Now, Eli, I have my theories about what made Dragon Ball Z so huge. Hold on. Jake, what you got? I was about to go into it. I was about to go in, Jake, but I'm gonna give you your shout out first. Okay. Those were the best. Oh, yeah, the best time for Dragon Ball Z. And the funny thing about Dragon Ball Z, that in Japan, the shit ended in 1996, but it didn't even hit, like really hit America to like the late 90s, 2000s. And it was already done in Japan. And he was already culture icon here. But anyway, let's talk about Dragon Ball. So what Dragon Ball is going on right now, what inspired Dragon Ball? Like I said, it was a manga first, like back in the 80s. This shit started back in the 80s when he was doing this shit. It was inspired, like the first couple volumes was started by a Chinese novel called Journey to the West. Pretty much the same story. It was about this half man, half monkey, half kid.
The Monkey King,
the Monkey King, yes,
yeah, which was on the Shang-Chi. Yeah, all that shit bled over into the Shang-Chi books and the stuff, those newer Shang-Chi comics.
Yes, because it was all Chinese lore. Even though he was from Japan, he was borrowing from Chinese lore.
Yeah.
So all those characters from the original Dragon Ball cartoons you saw, they all came from this book. They may have like changed the names a little bit differently. Like there was this shape-shifting pig on there. That was in the early Dragon Ball. All that stuff was there, and that was the story he was doing. And it became this huge hit. It took off. Everybody loved it. He was doing like, it was like a comedy cartoon he was doing. It kind of like had martial arts in it. It had him trainers like that. It was a huge hit. He ended the show, the manga, and was done with it. Like, okay, Dragon Ball, I'm done. And they said, I want nothing to do with it. But it was so popular, they wouldn't let him in the show, in the manga. So he had to brought it back. And what did he bring it back to? Dragon Ball Z. What is the Z for? The end. Because the Z is the last letter of the alphabet. He was like, this shit is over. I'm gonna write this shit one more time and I'm done. That's it. Now, here's the thing. So he wrapped up the Sun Wukong story from Journey to the West. So what was left to adapt? So he retconned Goku into Superman. And that, Eli, is why I think where he cracked the code. Because for those people that don't know about Dragon Ball Z and Goku, first off, let's go back to it. This was not in the original Dragon Ball. This was in DBZ, where Goku was retconned into an alien from another planet that came here as a baby and was raised by a human that taught him like morals and how to be a good person and how to care for people, stuff like that. And that's what all that was. He had an alien name on another planet. His alien name was Kakarot. Kal-El, Kakarot, Super Saiyan, Superman. Vegeta is just General Zod. That's all he is. So what he was doing was taking American comics and adapting them into Japanese lore. And I think that's where he cracked the code, where he was able to put it together. Now let's talk about anime in general before Dragon Ball Z. Yes, you had your great works of art. You had Akira, you had Ghost in the Shell, you had Ninja Scroll, you had Cowboy Bebop, you had Speed Race, you had all the stuff like that, but it was underground. Sailor Moon, all this shit like that, it was all underground. Like it was there. You knew it was there, and it was great, but it wasn't pop culture. But when he did that, and I think it hit on a certain level that people didn't even realize it hit, that he's just doing American comics, he's just doing superheroes, but for Japan. And when people saw that, it hit, and it hit on an unconscious level that made it pop and made it interesting. Because what you're seeing is that, okay, you got X-Men on TV, you got Batman animated series on TV. None of the animation looked like it did on Dragon Ball Z. Wasn't even close to it. It was on another level. So you're looking like, why aren't we doing that over here? And then to a point, you actually started seeing that. Like when comic pages, it was just static. You just see like a dude punch, and he said, I'm going to punch this guy with all my hand. You got this long text of what he's explaining with this punch. They didn't do that in Japan. They showed you the panels of the action going on there in Japan when they was doing it in the 90s. And eventually, American comics started adapting to this shit also. You can see a difference in American comics like in the 80s and 90s versus how they are now or back in the 2000s. and they changed because of anime, because of manga, because of him, Akira Toriyama. He changed the game. And we just talk about just the influences that he had in there, just all the influences. We talk about Toonami. He saved Cartoon Network because it was a Cartoon Network was the startup thing like in the 2000s. People weren't sure about it, just playing like Bugs Bunny cartoons all day and shit like that. And they just dumped anime on there in an hour block. That's why I call Toonami, because tsunami, from Japan and shit like that. And just want to see how it do. Dragon Ball Z took off. It almost became the reason to watch Cartoon Network. Every Dragon Ball episode was an event. So it became so popular, they decided to, okay, let's try out other stuff. Let's try out some more anime that people don't know about. Let's try out Adult Swim and put another program in there. Let's try out Boondocks. Let's try out Rick and Morty. Let's try out Aqua Teen Hunger Force or Harvey Birdman at Law and all this like that. Let's try some different stuff. Yeah, because DBZ gave them the cushion to go out a limb and try other stuff. It gave them a chance. So without DBZ, they couldn't do that. Not just that, like pretty much after Dragon Ball Z came out, every shonen manga and anime that it came out post Dragon Ball Z is either an homage to Dragon Ball Z, influenced by Dragon Ball Z, or just straight up Dragon Ball Z ripoff. Naruto, for instance, he's just Goku. Everybody is just Goku. They're dumb as fuck. They're loyal to their friends. They will train no matter what to get to the next goal. And for some reason, they're all like fighting geniuses. And they're always hungry as shit. They're always eating for like no fucking reason. That's every shonen manga hero ever. Even the gold hair. That's Goku right there. Even in video games, Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis. If you get the 7 Chaos Emeralds, which is like the Dragon Balls, he turns gold and can fly and shit like that. And he's Super Sonic. That's just Super Saiyan. And that's back in like 93. Street Fighter 2, the Hadouken, that's Kamehameha. Even when we go to the MCU, let's talk about Black Panther, they could Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan specifically wore that vest because it was the Super Saiyan Vegeta vest from Dragon Ball Z. Even in Shang-Chi, we just talked about Shang-Chi got this many flows. That yellow jacket he's wearing, that's Goku. That's the colors he's wearing. This shirt that I bought is from Goku. I told them, give me a shirt in Goku orange. Like that. So, and even in
that's I thought that was like a work shirt or something.
No. I flipped it inside out because I don't like advertising. But but I want to give me a Goku colored shirt, like that. And then just the other day, they show people outside in Argentina all lifting their hands in the air, reaching to the sky. Why were they doing that? Because they were mimicking the Spirit Bomb in one of the Dragon Ball Z episodes. They were giving Toriyama energy, giving his spirit. So, like I said, honestly, Eli, I could do a whole show just on this if I wanted to, but I know you want to talk about other stuff. So
no, I don't. I'm sick. Keep going, please.
Okay,
continue.
I didn't think made it. No, that's what I'm saying. Dragon Ball Z is world impact. Everybody in the world knows about Dragon Ball Z. Matter of fact, everybody that watched Dragon Ball Z, Eli, I'm gonna tell you about on a philosophical level. People understand Dragon Ball Z on a philosophical level. Dragon Ball Z changed my life. Like it changed my outlook on life. Because just watching Goku go around, because Goku wasn't some Superman that never got beaten, was invincible. He got his ass kicked quite a lot, but he always learned from the situation. He always learned that, okay, no matter what level he's at, there's always a level above that he can reach that's just in reach of it if he wants it. So at the level you're at, you're never at the level, you're not at your plateau unless you accept that you're at your plateau. There's always a level past that. There's always a level you can get to. There's always somebody that's better than you at what you're at than them. Are you going to accept that? Or are you going to reach that level or exceed that level? And that's the lesson I learned from Goku, from Akira Toriyama. And everybody I've talked to that watched Dragon Ball Z got the same lesson from them. People that work out because they do that. Because, okay, yeah, I'm strong, but let me get stronger. I run, but let me get faster. Or just in your field of job, I'm at this level of my job, but if I need do this, I can. If I do this better than that guy, I can beat this person. And it's that mindset that you Goku have. Now, does he ever care about his family or even saving the planet? Not really. He just wants to just beat the person that's next to him. That's all he cared about, which is another real like Goku because he's dumb as fuck, So these are the lessons that Akira Toriyama instilled in all men that watch this show. Like I said, it was the reason that it resonated with everybody around the world. Matter of fact, I'd even say, Eli, Dragon Ball Z invented blurred culture. All these blurs popping up on TV right now, Dragon Ball Z was their gateway. Like Sailor Moon was their gateway. Ninja Scroll wasn't their gateway. Dragon Ball Z was their gateway. I'm not saying Dragon Ball Z is the greatest, best anime of all time, but it's the most important anime of all time because it's the one that everybody started with. And then they moved on to, One Punch Man or Yu Yu Hakusho or Inuyasha or whatever you want to name and stuff like that. Dragon Ball Z was your gateway into that world. And it got there. So, and like I said, you can even see it in American influence. Like American comics are now influencing mine because I'm just going to say something. I'm just say something that's just not even controversial. It's just a scientific fact at this point. Manga is more popular than American comics. It just
what it is. It has been for a long time. It has
been for a long time. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that. Gomer, but
the only people who read like the big two are us. Yes, old ass men.
and people like they still make those. Not do you still read them? They still make those? That's the questions we get.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, you go to like
manga.
Yeah. Whenever I went to the comic store and I seen kids in there, they were always by the manga section.
They were always by the manga section. They're cleaning out manga. Like they're still making Dragon Ball manga to this day. And when they drop back Dragon Ball manga, it's like a fucking event. They read it. They post the scans. They post the scans before the shit even comes out. Like it's a damn spoiler for a TV show. I see the shit.
Yeah, you go to the mall, like the few malls that are still standing. You go to Hot Topic or Spencer's. It's all manga shit. It's all anime shit. All anime merchandise and anime merch. Was it Box Lunch or Lunch Box or whatever the fuck? These anime stores, and they're packed with kids, Yeah,
and that's what they're into. They are not into superhero comics at all.
No, the MCU, no one gives a shit about that except us. Maybe little ass kids, but they look like the toys. Like little ass kids are playing with Marvel toys.
I take the bad. No, they're into the MCU. They may shit on the MCU, but at least the MCU is still in conversation.
Yeah, but they're not reading the comics. Like the comics,
but they're not reading the comics. They're not touching the comics at all. No,
they're buying the shirts and the toys and shit, and the backpacks and all the merchandise, but they ain't reading the comics.
Right, not at all. But manga, they're devouring that shit. So and like I said, that's been a thing for a while. That's not even a controversial opinion. It is what it is. You can look at the sales numbers. Manga right now is like if you look at the overall comic sales, manga is dominating. And it all started with Dragon Ball Z.
Even at Barnes and Noble, you go to Barnes and Noble, and you go to the graphic novel section. Yeah, it's full of they sell manga books there, and it's always the kids sitting.
Yeah, because that's what they're into, right?
Yeah.
So, Jake wants to know what's the difference. Honestly, Jake, what? I guess he's talking about American comics and manga. I'll be honest with you, Jake. You probably talked to the wrong crowd. I think we're too old to answer that question.
Well, the thing about Japan is comics have always been huge in Japan, and it's not just.
First off, I'm glad you said that because there's really no age stigma with comics in Japan.
Yeah, in America, the comics are always funny books for kids. They're only for kids, and if you're an adult reading comics, then you're immature. Blah 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 blah. Right. Whereas like in Japan, they have comics for like every demographic. It's not just superhero. It covers all genres. Horror, superheroes, action, fantasy. Then they have like dramas and romance and it's
hentai.
Hentai. Every genre is covered in manga in Japan. It's just a well received art form, and that's just part of their culture.
And honestly, cartoons, American cartoons, didn't get any kind of validity to it until anime. Like it was just complete kid shit until anime came around. We were like, wait, they're making cartoons for adults now? Is that a thing? Like that blew my mind when I saw that shit, like blood in an anime, nudity in a cartoon. That shit, I hadn't even thought about that shit.
Well, even back in the 80s, like I think G.I. Joe and Transformers, some of those American cartoons were like imported to Japan.
Yeah.
To get animated,
Well, no. The intros were done by anime.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the intros look like all flawless. Like watch Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, the intros, the greatest things of those cartoons. Like, damn, that shit is awesome. Then you watch the real cartoon and the animation just all stiff shit like that. Like, no, what?
Yeah, the intro.
So all the Japan animated all of the intros of those cartoons. That's why they had those awesome intros because of that. So, so that's the thing. So when they finally start getting anime like cartoons, they're like, oh, it's just almost like the intro of Transformers, but it's like the whole thing. This is let me watch this, So yeah, man, it was like I said, this is the legacy that he's left with this. Like I said, he's pretty much, if he's one of the greatest cartoon creators of all time, he's easily the best manga artist of all time, just because of the legacy that he left. Just because everything is out right now is copying him, and not just in comics and video games also. Like I said, he started Dragon Quest. That was his character, and Final Fantasy is a ripoff of that. So you can credit Final Fantasy to him.
Yeah.
So we can keep going back. I'm not going to keep going down the road like that, but I'm just saying, like, that's the legacy that he left, because and we can keep going down there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of other podcasts going an hour long just on him, just everything he did. But yeah, he left a legacy.
I mean, yeah, like, because I mean, we did have there wasn't like in the 90s, there was the anime boom, I mean, like me as a kid, I remember Battle of Planets and Voltron and Robotech and
right.
And
it
Battleship,
was there, but it wasn't mainstream. That's what I'm saying.
Star Blazers, what it was, which was Battleship, I can't remember. It was called Star Blazers in America. I mean, that was like, it was like kind of niche and kind of, it wasn't as big as like G.I. Joe or any of that stuff. But then, but yeah, like you said, even when Akira and all that shit came out, it was still like, it was still underground. But yeah, once it got on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
Yeah. And everybody could watch it. It was prime time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made it even worse because, like Justice League Unlimited was out at the time, also a American cartoon. And you see the fight scenes on that versus fight scene on Dragon Ball Z, and it's just like they're not even in the same level of each other.
just the animation on Justice League.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you watch them back to back, you're just like, come on, man, this ain't even close, man. But honestly, I think that's where the Superman versus Goku arguments came also like that. Because first off, Goku is more or less a Superman ripoff, even though he did his own thing, his own character, but he's definitely modeled after Superman. But that's why I think but that's not the reason why those come, because we're seeing Superman in a fight scene, and we're seeing Goku in a fight scene. So we're seeing these fights back to back. Obviously, Goku could whoop his ass because he's the same, because in American comics, you do two things. You either have superpowers or martial arts. It's usually they don't mix with each other, Yeah. But Goku has both. Like he's superpowers and he knows martial arts. So that's got to set it apart. But anyway,
of course, and of course the Matrix, the first Matrix, those Matrix movies, they were basically making live action anime. Those flying scenes.
Yes, they were. Yes.
Yeah. Neo and Smith flying around, that was Goku and Vegeta or Piccolo.
That's what we kept saying. Like that last one, they were flying. It was like that. Like it's gonna be the best DBZ fight we've ever seen. Man of Steel. I know we hate talking about Zack Snyder here, but there are so many Dragon Ball Z references just completely ripped off that Zack Snyder did from Dragon Ball Z. One of these days, we're gonna make like a video comparing the two. He straight up ripped off like scenes from there and just had like Superman and Zero Zod just do this shit. So yeah, that's another Dragon Ball Z ripoff they did. So did you see? Now, I just off topic real quick. I guess Zack Snyder was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I didn't. I only seen like a clip where he's talking about Star Wars. So you didn't see the Batman clip?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my god! I almost made it a topic, Eli, but I was like, this shit is so dumb, and I don't really want to do any research on this shit, this dumb shit he's saying right now. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to take it out of context. But apparently, all the headlines are saying that Zack Snyder is saying that if Batman can't kill, he's irrelevant. He's trying to justify why his Batman kills.
Okay.
Now,
I think we did talk. Did we talk about that like before?
No,
I think we.
No, we never did. I mean, we talked about it, but we never had a quote from Zack Snyder on why he did that.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's on Joe Rogan, basically, justifying why he did it. Yeah. And I'm just like, no. He talked about making it worse, man.
Yeah, he talked about like in Star Wars with like in A New Hope when they go to the cantina, and Luke gets jumped by Walrus, like Ponda Baba and Dr. Corvus or whatever, Cornelius
Which he
or whatever his
completely
name is.
ripped off that scene in Rebel Moon, but go ahead.
Yeah, like that scene is like that they were like it was they were sexually attracted to Luke or something like that.
What? So that's why he made that dude gay? I mean, Zack Snyder, because that dude was clearly gay for whatever the fuck.
You know, like I'm like he's saying,
what movie are you watching? What comics are you reading to get this shit? That's what. And
he's saying like, why can't Star Wars ever be sexual or something? I'm like, dude, like Lando's trying to fuck Leia, like
her own brother's trying to fuck. What the fuck? It's probably not sexual.
You know, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, you know, Chewbacca had a fucking orgy with Ewoks and shit.
Yeah, I mean, he hanging around Han and Luke and Lando. You know, he's got some stuff going on.
You know, but when he said that, I'm like, well, that's the thing. When you talked about how he probably doesn't, ain't that deep into shit. Like, probably only read a handful of comics. Well, it's like there are still like Tales from Mos Eisley. There is a story about them too, about the Doctor and Walrus Man and what they were doing and how they picked on Luke because who's this little shit from the fucking farm coming into our bar and shit, let's go rob him. They saw him as an easy target, So there is a story that yeah. So it was just funny, Walrus Man, the guy we called him Butt Lips when we were kids because he had the butt on his mouth. He had a literal ass on his mouth, but they called him Walrus Man, So yeah, Butt Lips.
So Zack
the guy with the ass
and then just put two and two together. So okay. Yeah.
I just thought that was funny, but yeah. So yeah, back to rest in peace. Good journey, Akira Toriyama.
Yeah. I think we said all we need to say about it. Like I said, I think we've gone in enough detail about it. So yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, this is more your thing. I mean, like I said, I was an adult. I didn't get that much into Dragon Ball Z until my kid. Yeah. Like my kid was really into it, and I just was like, watch, what he watched. I kind of piggybacked on what he was into, but it wasn't my thing, So
yeah, it was an event, man. I mean, I'm one of those people. I've watched every episode of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super. I've watched all of them. I've had conversations about them. I even watched Dragon Ball GT in Japanese because when I was at Alcorn when I was in college, we couldn't get our hands on it because we didn't have cable, so we couldn't watch Dragon Ball GT. So somebody had a bootleg. Yeah, somebody had a bootleg of just Dragon Ball GT strictly in Japanese, and I watched it in just that. No subtitles, nothing, just Japanese. And I started to understand that shit after a while. I like,
yeah. No,
so I started understanding Japanese after a while because I watched so much of it. I'm like, am I learning Japanese?
Yeah, because when my kid got into it, this was well past. My kid wasn't born until the 2000s. So he was growing up in the 2000s. That was already, after the heyday of when Dragon Ball Z got popular in the 90s, there was no more toys or merchandise, like available anymore. So I had to go to like the Asian malls and stuff. And like we were, and find him like, Dragon Ball figures and Dragon Ball, merch because I'd go to these, the Hmong malls in St. Paul. They had all that stuff, because you couldn't find it at the regular stores and shit. But yeah, so yeah, he has a collection of like really cool Dragon Ball Z statues and shit that, we found at the Asian malls. And,
So I've even said this on the podcast before, so don't think I'm rewriting history. I can pull the receipts if I need to, but I've told you this before that my greatest, my favorite moment I've ever had in the movie theaters, of course, was Endgame. That's the best time I've ever had in a movie theater. But my second favorite time I ever had at a movie theater was Dragon Ball Super Broly. The reason because it was a packed theater, nothing but Dragon Ball Z fans in there, and they were watching a Dragon Ball Z movie. And it was like a fucking rock concert in there. So, when Goku went back, the entire crowd said it with him. I like, this shit is insane. It's just a movie. It's like, so I'm like, that's how when you get around like other Dragon Ball Z fans, you feel it with them. Hell, my Twitch name is Majin Spade. That's why it's like Majin Leroy right there. My Twitch name is Majin Spade. That's from Dragon Ball Z.
And my kid's gamer tag was Android 17.
Yes, the shit goes so deep, man. That's what I'm saying. We'll be here all day talking about it.
Shit, I should have just had my kid on here.
We could have just talked about Dragon Ball Z. Like, Eli, you go somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sick. Yeah, I'll take over. I'll take tonight off.
All right. So when Goku fought Android 18 and Perfect Cell,
yeah, you guys could have geeked out on Dragon Ball.
Okay, we were just gonna play. We were just gonna play DBZ Fighter Z on the podcast. We were just gonna just stream that shit for like 2 hours. And that's the podcast.
Yeah, he's had a couple of the games. I've gotten him the games before. He was huge into, and he even read the mangas. I got him the mangas too. I mean, it wasn't just a movie,
just to kind of keep up. Yeah. And I've noticed that when you, why are we talking about Dragon Ball Z? Anyway, but when you talk about the American dub on Dragon Ball Z, they changed around some stuff they did. It was like perfect translation. So when you do read the manga, you realize, oh, that's what. So when you watch the cartoon, like that didn't make any sense what he said right there. We read the manga and what they really intend, like, well, that makes more sense what he's saying. You actually reading the real detail. Or even when you were listening to the Japanese, because like I said, I watched the Japanese shit somewhere. I can hear it when they're saying different shit than what they're supposed to say with American, So that's all I got. Like I said, we are not the anime bullies. We're not. We're not otakus. But yeah. Hold on. What do we got here? Let's see, Jake. Let's see what we got. Jake, we talked about his DBZ enough. We got to go. What is your only viewer you should keep talking about? Jake, we can't keep talking about Dragon Ball. I mean, I guess we could, but we can't talk about Dragon Ball. We got other shit we got to talk about. We had a show we were going to do until this happened. We'll talk about Dragon Ball Z next week. How about that? All right, let's keep going on. Let's talk about something Eli wants nothing, no part of. So, because it happened, this also happened. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. For those that don't know, yes, this is not a simulation. This is not a hoax. This is not a dream. This is really happening. I didn't believe in myself till I actually went on Netflix's official Facebook account, and I saw the picture. And I was like, oh wow, that's really a thing. Okay, somebody showed me this picture also. Oh, Mike Tyson punch out. I'm like, yeah, that does look like Jake Paul and Mike Tyson right there. Hold on, let me see what Jake got going on here. Let's see. We need to spin off of enemy talk. This is all I got. I have emptied the tank, Jake. I got nothing else for you. So I can't do anime talk with you. Yeah, Eli Sona here. Maybe we can do something, but I got nothing else. I know Dragon Ball Z, and that's it. That's all I got. So yeah.
I could talk about Ninja Scroll.
I can talk about Ninja Scroll also. What, you talking about the series or the movie?
The movie.
Okay, I didn't watch the series either, but the movie I can talk about the movie. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and even Ninja Scroll influenced some American action movies too, but we're not going to go there also. Anyway, let's talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson for a second. The reason I want to talk about this because I know you don't give a shit, Eli, but the thing is, the world gives a shit.
Yeah. Well, I can rant a bit, but go ahead. I'll let you start.
No. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go for it.
Oh well, I am a fight fan, and this is just another farce. I mean, Jake Paul, his fights are just farces to me. They're just
right.
It's a circus act. He basically he started off fighting basketball players.
Some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he moved on to washed up MMA fighters who are past their prime. That seems to be what he does. I think what did he fight? Tyson? No, that was Ngannou. Tommy Fury. He fought one legitimate boxer and then lost. So I'll give him that for at least stepping up and actually fighting Tommy Fury. And from what I didn't watch it, but I hear he did all right. But then he lost that fight. So what does he do? Well, I'm gonna fight Tyson. No.
Right. This is a big person. So
yeah. So
Eli,
a guy,
go
twice his age. Dude's pushing 70 now. I mean, he's in his 60s or some shit, right? I mean, how old is Tyson now?
57, but for a boxer, that's pretty old. Yeah.
Yeah. So way past his prime, and it's just a money grab. That's all he's doing. He's just cashing in, and dumbing down the sport, dumbing down legitimate fight, the legitimate fight sports.
But Eli, let me ask you this: you're a huge fight fan. Why do you think this was going to be such a huge pay-per-view fight? Because we all know it's going to make money. We all know this is going to be the talk of thing. Okay.
Because people want to see Jake Paul get his ass knocked out. People want to see Jake Paul fucking get knocked out.
You think so?
That's why everybody hates him. He's basically made himself the heel that everyone wants to see. They love to hate him, and he's the villain they want to see lose.
So you don't think there's
everyone,
a crowd out there that actually wants to see him win?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. But if they are, they're not legitimate fight fans. They don't watch real fights.
Well, this fight is going to bring in non-fight fans over because it just got that name value on it.
Well, that's all they all do. Yeah. I mean, Ngannou. Okay, now you got me. You got me here, dude. You got me.
Okay. I'm triggered. Okay.
Francis Ngannou just fought the other night. Francis Ngannou was a UFC champion, heavyweight champion. Over some pay dispute, he quit. He quit UFC and he went to boxing. He fought Tyson Fury. Lost that fight, but he did score a knockdown. Mm-hmm. And then the other night he fought, I forget the guy he fought, but he got knocked out cold. So now everyone's, the boxing fans are like, yeah, MMA sucks, boxing rules, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And that's just the thing, is like those, like, the whole MMA versus boxing thing is such a, and that's what Jake Paul like capitalized on for a while. Because I'm going to fight these washed up MMA guys, and just to prove that MMA sucks and boxing is a better sport. When it's like, no, you're only allowed to hit. You're only allowed to strike. Boxing is like one dimension of fighting, whereas MMA, you can kick, you can punch, you can wrestle, you can, submit. There's all these different things you can do. So what he's doing is he's handicapping all these MMA fighters. So yeah, if an MMA guy can't use like most of his weapons, of course he's going to lose. And that's pretty much what happens when you see an MMA guy go to boxing, he usually loses. We just saw
like McGregor and
McGregor and Mayweather. Yeah. And Ngannou the other night. Got knocked out. But that happens with boxing too. James Toney went to UFC and he got submitted in the first round. Yeah. So yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. These are just like I said, they're circus fights.
Right.
And
I know you want to ignore this as much as possible. And I probably won't talk about it again, but I just wanted to bring it to the kind, because we know it's going to be this huge talk about thing that's going to dominate social media, and we won't be able to get away from it. We won't be able to run away from it. But don't worry, Eli. This podcast will be a safe space for you. That being said, let me add my 2 cents into it. I got to address the elephant in the room, Eli. Do you think that maybe I didn't mean to do that? There's a racial element to it. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, there was one when he fought Tyron Woodley. Yeah.
There was like that. There was a strong sense of that. Yeah.
Okay. Reason I'm saying, and now I'm not pointing fingers or calling anybody this or that or like that. I'm saying I think it catches up to all of us that when you see a black guy and a white guy fighting each other, it adds something to that. Like nobody really cares about 2 black people beating each other up. We don't care. Nobody cares about 2 white people beating each other up. 2 Hispanics beating each other up. No one cares. But you mix it up, it's interesting.
It's like the great white hype.
So popular. Why do you think the Rocky movies are so popular?
Oh yeah,
that's why.
Or like the movie, that movie, The Great White Hype.
The Great White Hype. Yes, they did that on purpose. They were like, we're going to get this guy, hype him up, have him go, because they know if they fight him against a white guy, no one's going to give a shit. And that's why Logan Paul is always, am I saying right? Logan Paul, what's his name? Whatever his name is.
That's the other one. Logan Paul's his brother.
Oh, there's the 2 of them? There's 2?
Yeah, there's 2. He's in WWE. He's been wrestling in WWE, Logan Paul.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, that's my thing. So my thing is that's why you don't really see him fight too many white guys too much, because no one cares. Okay. We figured you could beat a white guy up. We know that. We want to see you fight a black guy. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go a little bit further than that, because like I said, it catches up to all of us. Because let's go back to the 80s. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Let's go. I'm going there, Eli. I'm going there. Now, I don't think it's a controversial opinion to say that these were the 2 best basketball players of the 80s. That's not a controversial opinion to say. But they also saved basketball. Before these guys entered the NBA, they were about to cancel the NBA. The NBA was getting so low ranks, they was about to just shut it down and everything. They didn't even show the games live. They like recorded this shit and played it like at midnight. They didn't give a fuck if you watch like the finals. They didn't care if anybody. But when you got Larry Bird and you got Magic Johnson, and let's just be honest, let's just call it what it is.
You put Larry Bird on the Boston Celtics.
The Boston Celtics, the hard-working Boston Celtics versus the flashy LA Lakers. You see what I'm getting with this?
Yes. Again, like that move, like the Great White Hype. He's like, you're Irish, whatever his name was. I said, I'm not Irish. It just means you're white.
It sells itself. That's what I'm saying. It sells itself. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a racial angle. Like I said, it's you saying the quiet part out loud. We can't say it, but we all know it. It's there. We know it. Like I said, and I'm not accusing anybody of this or that, anything like that. I'm saying we're all caught up in it. You know, that's what I'm saying. So yes, you throw that in there. It's in the back of my mind. It's there. And I'll be honest with you, Eli. If what's his name? Logan? Jake Logan?
Jake.
Okay.
Jake
if
Paul.
he whoops
Jake
Mike
Paul.
Tyson's ass on TV, that's gonna set black people back 20 years. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, and I've been hearing all kinds of shit. I don't know. Like, they're trying to make rules. Is it going to be exhibition because Tyson's age, and because we saw Roy Jones and Tyson, and that was an exhibition. They had to pull their punches. You know, it wasn't. You know, it was just an exhibition match. And I think that Jake Paul's allowed to wear headgear and all this shit. I don't know if any of that's true yet. I don't think they've announced the rules, but that's usually what happens. Jake Paul cultivates these fights in his favor. Yeah. So.
Everybody's getting rich. Mike
you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm gonna make a call. I'm gonna call it right now. It's gonna be. I think Jake Paul's gonna win, but not by knockout. And it's gonna be like a pacing back and forth. So Tyson doesn't look that bad and doesn't tarnish his fucking legacy. And then Jake Paul is gonna win, so he can have his bragging rights. That's what I think is gonna fucking happen.
So you're saying TKO?
No, it's gonna be. It's gonna go to decision.
Yeah, decision.
It's gonna go to decision.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think it's gonna happen also. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's it. But like I said, we're not talking about it anymore. I'm trying to take care of your mental health, Eli. So we're just gonna just.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up just one time, and we ain't gonna fuck with it anymore. Because I don't care who wins either. Just whatever happens, has happened. So yeah, can we move on to the next part of the podcast?
Sure.
Okay, I know Jake wants to talk more about DBZ. Maybe I'll come back to it. But until then, we're going to talk about the Vidja game section. Now, the video section, shout out to my boss. My boss wanted me to bring it back. Honestly, my boss, I haven't really been playing anything lately. I've been at work, and I've been just getting my ass whooped there. But on my Facebook store, on my Facebook memory, you know how you get those memories like from a year ago and shit like that? So did I get some shit from my ex or something like that? Nah. I got Street Fighter footage from an old match that I played like 2 years ago. So it's like, you know what? Let me post that shit, see what happens. So I'm just gonna play a match that I had for Street Fighter 5. I think maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago. I don't know when I did this shit, but let hear it. I don't know why I thought that was gonna hit you when I know it wasn't.
Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
Oh,
you nailed it. I'm gonna show you something interesting. Also,
keep in mind.
Oh, so you were Ken?
I was Ken. Yeah. Keep in mind, I got my ass whooped that whole night, but that's the match I won, so I recorded it and posted it. So.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. From a match I lost from like 5 years ago. Okay. So we're gonna act like Darth Vader want this shit until what? Huh? Was it?
Yeah. Well, Darth Vader was the shit for 20 years until the prequels came out.
Yeah. Except for Rogue One, he whooped the ass in Rogue One. So I gotta give props on that. That wasn't even a fight. That was just a fucking horror movie and that shit when he showed up. So yeah. All right. That being said, Eli, can we move on to the next part of the podcast?
Sure.
All right. Like I said, this comic book bullies. We talk about comic books and shoot. Eli, should I go first?
It's up to you, man. When are you doing your big review now or later?
No, you know we gotta save the best for last.
Oh, we gotta keep them in. I
have a surprise for you. I have a surprise for you. I'm doing 3 books tonight. They're all X-Men.
Okay.
Yes. We are going to be X-Men out. Before the end of this podcast, Eli, you will be a X-Men.
I am X-Men now. I read 2 X-Men books and I was like, done.
What comes out Wednesday? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, obviously we got Lost in the Sauce or something. Still the man of Capcom. Cool. Tracy, I'm waiting for Akuma to get announced for Street Fighter 6. They haven't announced it yet, but we know it's coming. When he gets announced, I'm jumping back on Street Fighter. Until then, I'm kind of cooled off on it for right now. But yes, I'm waiting for Akuma to come out or at least be announced. All right, so let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my first book. The first book I'm going to do is they're still coming in. Hold on. I don't know if we're going to get a chance to do the books.
The Star Wars Battlefront.
The remodel, the remastered collection. Is that a thing? Did it happen?
I guess they're doing the first. Is it the first one from like the early 2000s? When did the first Battlefront?
Oh, Eli, I think I can't say it. I can tell you offline. We might get in trouble if I say it online. I'll tell you afterwards. I'm a Fei Long guy, but Akuma now. Yeah, Fei Long was that dude too. All right. But like I said, we gotta do comics. We're gonna jump into it. All right. So the first comic we're going to do is Ultimate X-Men #1. All right.
Okay,
so
I didn't read this. I didn't read it because I read the other two. I read other two, and then I was like, nah, I'm done with X-Men this week.
You're X-Men out. Okay. Now I get it. I completely understand. So yeah, for those that don't know what's been going on, X-Men, well, the Ultimate Universe is back. And so far, they've done Spider-Man with the Ultimate Universe, and they've done Black Panther Ultimate Universe, and now they're doing X-Men with Ultimate Universe. So this is not like the Ultimate X-Men that were back in the 2000s. It's completely revamped, rebooted, restarted, whole new thing. Throw out whatever you think. Matter of fact, throw out anything X-Men that you think of. It's completely all new, all different, even what you've known before. So let's just jump into it. Let's go. What we got. Okay, so the star of this book, I'm gonna just tell you before we get started, is Armor. Now, for those who know who Armor is, she's a Josh Whedon creation in like to 2005 when he wrote that X-Men run, Gifted or some shit like that. So it's one of his creations, and most of this is completely in Japan. So, boom, let's go. All right, so the book starts off in Japan, in a middle school, and we get what's her name, Osaki. I'm gonna just call her Armor. I can't remember her name. Armor is graduated from middle school, but the thing is, she barely comes to school. We don't know why she doesn't come to school. And one of the when her classmates come to her, she like, what's her name, Hisako. Okay, Armor's name is Hisako in this book. So she tells Hisako, one of the boys gave you his second button. Now I read an excerpt at the end of the book. So what the second button means in Japan, since the second button on your uniform is like the closest to your heart, when the boys graduate, they give their second button to their crush or their girlfriend. So she like, this boy gave you a second button. I think he's over there. So she points, ain't nobody there. She was fucking with her. they don't like her. They teasing her, they bullying her basically, whatever it is, but she gets a second button anyway. And she's like, that girl is so weird. I don't want nothing to do with her, But she looks on the back of the button and there's a note written on it. And of course, it's written in Japanese, but it says, oh, and there's this shadowy figure behind her. And he's basically, and then she turns around, she disappears. And she's just like, meet me at the temple in the mountain behind there. Come, my friend, and she's like, my friend. And it kind of triggers her when she hears that word because she only had one friend before. So, and she gets a phone call from mom. Her mom says she can't be there. Go to your grandma's house, get something to eat. So she knows she's got time to go to that temple and see what's going on. So she goes to the temple. And while she's waiting, she sees a boy, but she's just dreaming about a boy. So she shakes her head. The boy goes away. And that's when she sees that shadowy figure again. And she was just like, are you the one that put that note on the second button? He was like, yes, I am. I am the one that did it. So look, so what did you call me here? And this whole thing is like creepy to me. You got this shadowy figure with this girl by herself. I didn't know where they were going with this book. But anyway, he hands her a charm that's like this medallion. And she picks it up. And I thought it kind of like Juggernaut at first. But no, that's Armor, what she always looked like. So, and he hands her that and just disappears. And he basically tells her the story about that he knows about her friend named Tusana. And that was her best friend. Matter of fact, I think they were more than friends. They were like really, really good friends, maybe even boyfriend, like a crush or like that. And he gave her that medallion. And what happened was the boy used to get bullied at school all the time, the same school she went to. And the advice she gave him was to stand up to your bullies. And that's what he did. And apparently they bullied him even more. And eventually he died. They don't get into it why he died, but he died. And she has survivor's guilt. Well, she has guilt over the whole time. And that's why she stopped coming to school. So she's freaking out because he's giving her nightmares about her dead friend. So she grabs the medallion and gets the fuck up out of there. And when she turns around, like the back of somebody's foot taps the back of her head, it turns around, and it's Tusana, dead body floating over her. So they don't go into details about what happened. What I think happened is that he was bullied so hard. I think he, I'm not gonna say it, but so she freaks the fuck out, gets on a bike, runs away, pedals away, and she runs so fast she's not paying attention to anything that she's seeing, and she crosses the street, and there's a car coming right at her, about to hit her, and she can't swerve away. So right before it hits her, boom, her armor activates. Now in the comics, in the Joss Whedon run, that was her mutant power, but now since she got the medallion, that's how it activates. And apparently, like, the medallion is seeing if she's okay. It's like not talking, but like waving to her and speaking to her and shit like that. And she's like, okay. And the car is like destroyed. And she just runs away and goes back home. Meanwhile, on the news, they talk about the car being broken away. And she's in the car saying that a girl ran in front of him, but there's no girl that they can speak of. So they think he just made shit up. They think he was like a drunk driver or some shit. Maybe he was like on drugs, some shit like that. And she's freaking out because she's like, she don't understand how the power activated. So she gets back on the bike and goes back to the temple. And she goes back to the temple, and that shadowy figure pops up again. And the shadowy figure's like, look, you're going to be a part of this whether you want to or not. And I'm going to just speed this up. And then he tells her, because we are going to get revenge. And as soon as he gets revenge, she's on the phone. She gets a phone call. And the shadowy figure tells her, you might want to answer that. So she answers the phone, and her mom is calling, telling her, remember your coach at school? He hung himself, like, for whatever. And I think he bullied your best friend when he was dead. That's like the woman that found him. And she was like, yes, I'm going to do that to all the people that I'm going to get revenge on all that did me wrong. To be continued. So, yeah. So that's the book. And they got some other stuff going on back there. So this book, it was cool. I see what they're doing. Another reason I did this book, like I said, we're talking about DBZ, we're talking about Akira Toriyama. Does this book have a certain feel to you?
It sounds like The Grudge or something.
This is a manga. You're right. It is The Grudge.
Oh,
this
yeah.
This is a manga. This is very much a manga. It's about Peach Momoko, and I think she's from Japan also like that. And so I think basically what they're doing is a manga. So I'm thinking it's interesting that we decided to do that. Let's see what else we got here. That shadowy figure is her friend. Yeah, the shadowy figure is her friend, or the ghost of her friend. So basically, it's just like Eli said. Yes, this is The Grudge. So that's what it is. I probably won't keep up with this. I just want to keep up with it because I'm keeping up with the Ultimate Universe, and I kind of want to see if this had anything to do with this, but it has nothing to do with any of this stuff. It's just on its own. So, and I'm hearing Silver Summer. I may pop up later on, but I think I can wait for the trade. So overall, this book was a 3.5 out of 5. It's cool. It's different. It's definitely different. But I don't know if I'm gonna keep up with it like I would with Spider-Man and Black Panther. But yeah. So what you got there?
Give me a few seconds. I was taking out the trash. Sorry.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, that's what's going on. Like I said, Peach Momoko wrote this. Notice that all the Ultimate books are in different areas. Like I said, the Spider-Man books in America, so he did American stuff. Black Panther's book is in Africa. So this book is completely in Japan. It's going to have all the Japanese mutants that have been in the book. It sounds like they're going to show up. Like Sunfire's going to show up. Silver Samurai is going to show up. Maybe Lady Deathstrike's going to show up. So it's going to deal with that. Maybe a completely different team than it was before. So it's going to be like the Japanese book that they're doing. Some of that is kind of appealing to me. I kind of want to see where it goes. I'm glad about Armor. Let me talk about Armor for a second. Okay. This is not a new character. This character was invented like 2005, 2004, something like that. Notice her powers are that she can activate a force field around her and she can project it however you want to. Now, does that sound like another Asian mutant that has armor that she can project around her at all times? Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's Kamala Khan. They took Kamala Khan. They just took armor. They took armor and just made Kamala Khan and just did that. And she's best friends with Wolverine in there. So they just took that character. They took a character they already had just to give it to another character. So Kevin Feige piece of shit for that. Just saying. Let's read some. Well, since Eli's doing what he's doing, let's read things. Also, what's the next for the man who made DBZ? But rest in paradise to the man who wrote DBZ. Yeah. Sad occasion, very sad occasion. But he left a legacy. That's the main thing. Let's see. Definitely her friend. Let's see what the comments we got before we get there. Let's see what Jake got there. first two. Yeah. And what else can I talk about this book? It doesn't tie
a score
in.
On it.
Oh, I already did. 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I also talked about how Armor was basically they ripped Miss Marvel, the new Kamala Khan, the MCU version of it, ripped off Armor's powers because they got the same powers. And she's Asian and a mutant and friends with Wolverine. So Marvel's just ripping off themselves. All right. So what you got?
I'll do that. What if aliens?
Okay, what if I kept thinking, okay, what if aliens? Let me see if I can load it bad boy up. Okay.
So this is a what if book, but it's in Aliens, the Aliens franchise. And this is from the second Aliens movie, where the Space Marines went to LV-426 and got their asses whooped by the aliens, Alien Queen, all that shit, found the hive, all that shit. The site was nuked from orbit and all that. But this is a what if Carter Burke, the slimy, sleazy company man that tried to sell everybody out, what if he survived? That's basically what this is. And from what I understand, yeah, he was the guy working for Weyland-Yutani, kind of overseeing the whole rescue mission. Because in that movie, Aliens, Sigourney Weaver's, that's the second movie. She's the final girl of the first movie. She, comes back and they find out that, no one believes her that they found an alien, all that shit. And meanwhile, there's colonizers on that planet, sort of terraforming the planet, setting up atmosphere processors. The colony gets overrun by aliens. They lose contact. So Ripley and all these Space Marines go there to rescue them, only to get, overrun by the alien hive. One of my favorite movies of all time. When you said your favorite, one of your favorite movie moments or cinematic moments was Endgame and DBZ. Mm-hmm. Well, I saw Aliens in 1986 in New York in a rowdy ass theater, and it was one of the best movie going experiences of my life. I did not want that movie to end. I was having so much fun. The crowd was cheering and screaming. It was great. So yeah, that's why Aliens is one of my favorite things. I've always followed Aliens, the movies, the comics, the video games. So anyways, in Aliens, there was Carter Burke. He was the corporate asshole who was basically planning on smuggling an alien back, right, and was going to impregnate one of the survivors and bring them back and, get a bonus from Weyland-Yutani for it. But he ends up dying. And in fact, when he died, the crowd cheered. When he died. But this comic basically says, okay, what if he survived? And we start out it starts out just like in the movie, the very scene in which he dies in, it starts out like that. The aliens come into the lab, they start killing everybody. Burke tries to escape, an alien comes and grabs him. Only in the movie he dies. But in this comic, the alien takes him to the hive to get impregnated by one of the face huggers.
Okay.
So he's in the hive. He's all slimed up, in the hive. One of the eggs hatches. The face hugger comes out right about to get him. But then an explosion goes off and, basically frees him. Shakes the whole facility. He gets freed from the explosion and then sneaks his way on the spaceship and kind of hides out, And then it basically 30 years later, he's still alive. He's basically Weyland-Yutani kind of held him responsible for what happened to the colony. He didn't come back with an alien. The whole site was nuked, so they lost all this money. So they kind of pinned that whole disaster on Carter Burke. But Carter Burke blackmailed him and says, "Well, I'm going to tell everybody what really happened. If you want to shut me up, then I want a salary for the rest of my life. I want benefits, blah, blah, blah." So they said, okay. So they set him up on some asteroid, all by himself on some holodeck and just lets him stay there, And then at the end of the comic, some dude shows up, and he has an alien egg. He's, okay. Finally, you brought my shipment to me. So now he has an alien egg. What he's going to do with it, we don't know. But that was the end. I thought it was okay. It was interesting. I was more interested in seeing how he survived because I am such a fan of the movies, and it was cool that they went into that detail of how he actually survived and how the explosion went off and how he was able to get free and sneak. And there's a lot of Easter eggs to the movies, so it was really cool to see that. I don't know. I might check out the next issue. I thought this was just going to be a one shot, like usually all What Ifs are. But it seems to be a little mini series. So I don't know what he's gonna do with that egg. I guess I'll check it out. But I'll give it a 3.5.
3.5. Let me ask you this: have these Alien comics ever touched Prometheus? For those movies?
In Dark, not the Marvel. Marvel hasn't, but the Dark Horse comics did. The Dark Horse run. What was that? That Fire and Stone was Aliens, Predator, and Prometheus. Where that was a really cool event where they did all that. So the Dark Horse run did, but I don't know. Marvel hasn't touched on any of that. The engineers or whatever from Prometheus and shit. So
I just wonder because they got lore they can dive into. But okay,
yeah. I wasn't a fan of Prometheus, so I'm like,
nope, not a lot of people was. Honestly, I never seen it. I was just asking.
Yeah, it was a. Yeah, but it was kind of fun. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. So I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. I'll see. I'm not completely sold on it yet, but I may give it another issue just to check it out. You know, curious to see. I am curious to see what he plans on doing with that egg. You know, so
okay, cool.
And this was written by Paul Reiser, who played.
Oh, of
Carter
course.
Burke
So
in the movie.
they played that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he wrote this. So. That was interesting. So yeah,
I do like it how Danny DeVito wrote a Penguin comic one time where he like kills Batman, saves the world, and fucks Catwoman. I'm like, because of course he would. Of course he would do that if he wrote the book. So yeah. All right.
Did you see him and Schwarzenegger on the Oscars?
Oh, the Oscar. That shit was funny as hell. I saw a clip of it. I didn't see it, but somebody showed it on my phone.
Yeah, I just saw it on my phone. Yeah, where him and Schwarzenegger were talking about how
bitch.
Yeah, Michael Keaton was in the audience and shit.
he didn't move. He just went.
Yeah. And Godzilla won. Shout out to Godzilla.
Shout out to Godzilla. So yeah, that's our Oscar talk of the night. So
yeah.
All right. So next X-Men, I'm going to do my X-Men. My X-Men, I'm going to do.
Your X hour.
My X hour. Yeah, my X hour and a half. X-Men 2021. Okay, Eli, did you read this one?
No, I read was it Weapon of X-Men or Weapon X-Men or whatever?
I didn't want to touch that. No.
Yeah. You don't.
You're more hardcore X-Men than I am. Okay.
I was exhausted after that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was hardcore. Okay. What can you tell me about that? I don't know what the hell that is even about. It's like all the weapons of X's.
Yeah, all like the like basically Jean Grey or the Dark Phoenix like recruits a bunch of Wolverines from across the multiverse to stop some villain.
Yeah, you lost me as soon as you said multiverse.
Yeah, so there was all these versions of. There's like a zombie Wolverine. There's a girl's Wolverine. There's Old Man Logan. Yeah, there's all these different There's a fat Wolverine. He's all fat and shit.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it was just then they go to a gala and talk a lot. And I was like, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Eli, for doing the work so we don't have to.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see. Where is that book? I don't see it. Anyway, I guess it don't matter. Yeah. Anyway, so the book I'm doing is X-Men 21. So this is Kitty Pryde and Magic teaming up. So
that's a sweet cover.
Yeah, it's an awesome cover. I like that cover. So boom, let's just get to it. Oh, and the X is still falling. So yeah.
I didn't know Kitty Pryde was a ninja though. Damn.
Yeah. She was. Yeah, that's been a whole thing now. She's no longer Kitty Pryde. She's Shadow Cat.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, ninja assassin. So yeah. So we go to the lighthouse, and the lightkeeper is sitting there. For those who don't know who the lightkeeper is Jumbo Carnation's gay boyfriend. Now, for those who don't know who Jumbo Carnation is, he's the mutant with the power of cooking. He can cook really well. That's it. So, he got 6 arms.
I think he's shown up before, and we laughed back then.
Yeah, he showed up before. Yeah, but so this is so we don't know where Jumbo Carnation went to, but he left his boyfriend here. Now, the reason I'm saying his gay boyfriend, because there's been this whole thing about how X-Men isn't woke. How, okay, obviously you're not reading the comics, but okay. And then Orchid Soldier kicks the door in. He's just like, yeah, Jumbo Carnation left, but he left you behind. I thought you would have left by now. And that's Jumbo Carnation. That's what he looks like. So, and he's just like, I don't know why you survived, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the mess. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm not the only survivor. And then Lockheed pops out from behind him. So we get a Lockheed scene again. And Lockheed burns that Orchid Soldier's face off. Yeah. Okay. He's like, and yeah, so now we get this news from Emma, and she's doing it. Good news, boppers. You know, that whole shit. She's basically talking like all the mutants all over the world. It's like that, that's still freedom fighting to save Orchid, like that. Today, what was going on? She's like, okay, she's giving them an update. Basically, okay, Orchid's spaceship has been torn apart. Polaris took care of that. Iron Man has basically got all the Iron Man. So that same Iron Man book we lost, I said, she's getting an update on what happened in that book. All the Iron Man Sentinels are fighting him in Australia right now. So you don't have to worry about them right now because Iron Man's taking care of them. So and she's possessing a limo driver that's driving her all around the city, you know. And she sees two Orchid soldiers detaining mutants, and she sees it. She's like, hey, what the hell y'all doing? And the Orchid soldiers turn around, she's like, oh, she's a mutant. I mean, she's a telepath. Oh, good. We got Cyblockers on. Okay, really shit she can do to us. She's like, oh, really? So she takes her gauntlets that Iron Man gave her, her Hellfire brass knuckles, and she melts them. So yeah, so she don't need telepathy for that. And then she frees them and she's like, okay, let's go. Y'all join the resistance. And they basically storm that place and get everybody else out. Meanwhile, we go to the Reverend Stryker Education Center for Disadvantaged Youth. Concentration camp. Yeah. So Magic, you know, goes in. She can't tell her. And the reason she looks all sick and weary right now, because Orchis put like this nanites in her that basically takes away her mutant powers. That's why she's got to like sneak in instead of just teleporting like she usually can. So she teleports in, kick the shit out of these guys, slice them up and shit like that. Walks to the door. They start shooting at her. She dodges this shit. Blocks the shit with her sword, and then throws the sword at him and stabs the guy. You know. And while she's stabbing, she picks up a gun like, man, fuck this shit, and shoots the rest of them. She's like, oh, so she walks away in. And then she's exhausted. And Emma's just like, you all right? And basically, not only that, she's like super tired right now also, but she's working her way in there. So she finds the guy that put the nanites in here. And she's like, don't you even think about going for that gun. You're like, oh, shit. And she's like, well, what do you want? She's like, I want you to get these nanites out of me right now. And he's like, well, okay, but I want to date Taylor Swift. Like we both asked out. So he grabs the gun anyway when she's not paying attention because she knows she ain't fast enough to do it. And that's when Shadowcat phases through the floor and knocks the gun out of his head and kicks him across the room and shit like that. And she's like, you gonna be okay? And then they hug because I forgot that they used to be best friends. Back in like the 80s when Kitty first joined the team, that's when Ileana came from Russia to stay with Colossus. And they became best friends because they were both the youngest on the team. So yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Kitty's just like, look, if you're too tired, just rest right here, chill. But I'm gonna kill every single person in this building right now. And Magic's like, you're not doing that without me. So we see the Orchid soldiers, and then we see Kitty and Magic just slicing the shit out of everybody in there. Blood just standing wall and shit like that. They just a bloodbath, you know. And then they free every detained mutant in there while blood is just all over the wall because they just chopped up everybody. And she's just exhausted. Magic's like, I can't go anymore. But I'm glad you're here, Kitty. I'm glad that Emma called you in. Matter of fact, how my brother's doing? And Kitty's just telling them, oh, don't worry about Colossus. He's on a spaceship with Logan. They chopping up people. He's safe. But Emma didn't call me. She's like, hey, well, if she didn't call you, then who did she call? And that's when the roof comes off the building. And who is it? Polaris. Drinking coffee. Again, I guess the same coffee she got from Orchis. She's like, y'all doing all right? She's like, yeah, we're good. And she's just like, get this shit out of me. Because she can feel the nanite metal in her right now. And she's like, I can get it out of you, but it's going to hurt. So you might want to bite down on something because I ain't got a telepath. So she used her magnetic powers to pull the shit out of her pores. You know, now she's got it and she's like, okay, I got it. Let me go ahead and destroy it. And she passes out because from the pains all like that. And that's when Iron Man Sentinel that wasn't fighting Tony Stark comes after them, and Lorna tries to protect them, but she's just like, look, they got some shit protected against me. I can't really stop them. So that's when now Magic is back at full strength. She teleports behind them. She stabs the Sentinel in the head. Lorna takes some pole cables, puts it inside of his head, short circuit him, but just for good measure, they teleport water into it also to short circuit and make sure he goes out. So he blows up, and that's it. So they free all the detainees. They're out there. It was like, get in, losers. We're going to kill some fascists. So while they're doing that, Cyclops is free also. And we get this touching scene with Lockheed and Magic, their pet. That's all cool. And Lorna's just standing over Sentinel. She's like, sup. And then Cyclops is like, hey, I know where Nimrod is going. I got the doctor that put all this shit in him. She's with me now. But Magic, I need you here right now. She like, sir, yes, sir. So she teleports right over there. Boom. That's it. The end. So pretty easy read story. Like I said, X is falling. Kind of a get in, get out story. It does what it needs to do. If you just want to read a cool Magic story, there you go. Even though she didn't have powers most of the story, but she was there. Kitty Pryde doing ninja shit. So that's all. Precious Kim Ignacio. Hold up. Let's see what you got there. Sorry we couldn't get to you earlier. We were cooking. One of the rules mad crazy. Why are the rules mad crazy? I won't complain. What rules? Oh, you must be talking about Jake Paul and Logan Paul and Paul.
Oh yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors about the rules, but I don't think haven't been officially released.
I mean, we don't want him to kill Mike Tyson. I mean, shit,
No,
so,
no.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I got. I'm gonna get a book 3.5 out of 5. Good, easy breezy X-Men book. Did what it's supposed to do. It's more filler until we get to the real fall of X. But yeah. So all right. So what you got next?
I got the Batman First Night.
The Batman. Okay, let's see what we got.
Dan Jurgens, Black Label. This is fun. This is really cool. So this is basically taking it back to the origins of the Batman. This takes place in the 30s.
Okay.
Like basically during the Great Depression, right after Prohibition. So Gotham it's the third. It's very noir, very dark and gritty, and very pulpy.
Mm-hmm.
And someone's going around murdering politicians, cutting off their heads and shit.
Oh shit! Okay.
And Gordon's on the case, and then the Batman starts to investigate. And it's like old school Batman in the 30s, where he's got his old school, the original outfit, in the tights and the cape,
with the purple
and
gloves, and
throwing little pellets that with gas and shit, and
no Batmobile. He like driving a regular ass car or some shit.
Yeah, the Bat Cave is like a science lab with the with the glass vials and the beakers and the chemistry set. His security system is like wired into like a bell, dings and shit. So old school tech, but he's investigating these murders, and he gets a fingerprint and finds out that the fingerprint belongs to like an old mobster, but that mobster is dead. That mobster was executed like at the electric chair. So it turns out that somebody has found a way to reanimate dead criminals, and they're using these dead criminals. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably him. Yeah.
I thought he appeared at the end of it. I'm just guessing, but yeah.
No, he doesn't. But
because that shit he does. But yeah.
Yeah, somebody's reanimating corpses to make them do crimes, make them do murders and shit. He actually gets into a fight with a couple of them, and they looked all zombied out, all mutated and shit. They got machetes and shit, and he fights them. And but they're executing a criminal at Blackgate. And Batman goes in there and like breaks in while they're right about to shock him. He cuts the power, and then there's a big old fight between him and the Warrens and the guards, and they throw Batman into the electric chair and shock him.
What?
And it says to be continued. Yeah, I don't know.
You just end like that. Okay.
That's how it ended. Batman's getting shocked in the electric chair. So yeah, pretty cool. I mean, it's really cool, very dark and gritty, like very noir, very Pulp Fiction-y, gritty crime story, old school Batman type of story. Yeah, I mean, there's like a subplot where Bruce Wayne is funding a movie or something like that. I don't know. So it did meander a bit, but it looked really cool, Yeah, I other than it being Black Label and a little spendy because it's Black Label.
Oh, because it's more expensive. So
yeah.
I started to get it because Dan Jurgens is my favorite Superman writer.
Yeah, he's on it, and yeah, it's pretty fun. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
So I'm glad giving him something to do. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now what I'm going to do, my book of the week is a old school retro book. Okay. Like I said, Eli, I'm trying to tell you my method to my madness. So what I'm doing, I'm going to review X-Men Days of Future Past. Yes, the classic Days of Future Past story. I'm doing that tonight, but I'm only doing one part of it because the original story that was in the comics was 2 issues, only 2 issues that spawned all this crazy shit like this. So I'm doing one book this week, one book the next week. So what we're going to do is boom, let's do that right there. Boom. And also I do want to say this is one of the most iconic covers of all time. If you dig into it, it tells you everything you need to know about it. Wolverine with X-Men and all the dead X-Men they name it on the back of it. This is just a classic cover. If you don't know anything about the story, you should know this cover. So yeah. Matter of fact, this is the first time you've seen Old Man Logan. So let's get to the story. Let's get to it. No more preliminaries. So yeah. So the book starts out in the far, far distant future of 2013. So yeah, that's when the book takes place. So we see Kitty Pryde running through Manhattan, which has been torn down, this dystopian future, and she's carrying supplies, but she's sneaking through. She's taking a shortcut because Wolverine wants to meet her somewhere. So she takes place. She goes through Rogue Country. Now, Rogue is not that Rogue you're talking about. The Rogues are a gang in the future, and they're like, "Oh, you're in Rogue territory now." They were like, "Don't you?" And they're like, they pretty much, go after anybody that shows up because at this point, everybody hates the Sentinels, mutants, humans, everybody. So they just attack everybody, just steal everything, and that's it. And they go from there. She can't use her mutant powers on it because she got that mutant collar on her right now, so she can't do anything. And the leader just tells her, "Kill this mutie witch," and that's when Wolverine shows up. Not on my watch, bub. So Wolverine and the guy pulls a knife on Wolverine, of course. And Wolverine, like he even narrates to himself, like, if this was 30 years ago, I would have cut this guy in 2 by now. But if I unleash my claws, the Sentinels will know we're here. So I got to fight this guy one-on-one. Anyway, kick shot all of them, beat the fuck out of them.
I like how the thug looks like a native and shit. The old...
I think he's just. I don't think he's native. I think he's just.
But those punk rock street thugs of the 80s or 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that was cultural appropriation. You know what it was.
Yeah.
So he rescues Kitty, gets her up, and they basically tell her, "Look, y'all got a rendezvous to us tonight." Oh, and the reason Wolverine doesn't have a collar because when the shit went down, he went to Canada. So yeah. So and he just did here to get some shit from them, bring it back down to them, and he's handing Kitty a jammer. So what the jammer does, it will deactivate the mutant collar within a certain radius, but it only works for a certain amount of time. So they can't use it anytime they want to. When they use it one time, they can't use it after that. So they got to use it at the right time. And he said, when you use it, give me a call and we'll go to phase 2. She's like, okay, cool. So Kitty takes the bus, and I just not noticed. I didn't realize this when I first read this book. Eli, you read this book before, haven't you?
You know what? I don't know.
Oh, maybe. It may sound familiar to you when we do it, but the thing is,
what did we read? No, we read God Kills, right?
Right. God kills. Love kills. Man kills. God loves. Man kills.
That's what we read. Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually sat down and read these issues. No.
Okay. So the thing was, I'm just not realizing about the book. There's no electricity in the future in this hellhole we're in right now because she's taking the bus, but the bus is being carried by horses. So yeah, and she basically telling him how everybody's been labeled. So they label the mutants have an M on their back, the humans have an H on their back, and I think A is for people that aren't allowed to breed or some shit like that. But anyway, that's how they label who's who, So she's basically walking into the camp. Give her supplies, like Hulk mutant. She's like, look, y'all want to get supplies. That's why I'm late, because I got attacked by a rogue gang member. So, and she's walking the field, and all of these gravestones are superheroes and villains, not just mutants. The Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Doctor Doom, Black Panther, they all have gravestones here. They killed everybody because just in fact that they might, produce a mutant down the road. They just killed everybody. So she goes there and she's like the only the only X-Men to survive a Colossus Storm, Franklin Richards, who's an adult now, and Rachel Summers. So it's the very first appearance of Rachel Summers, Cyclops and Jean Grey's daughter from the future. They don't really name her here, but that's who she is. So, and she basically telling her, and then a guy in a wheelchair rolls up with him, and it is Magneto. Yeah. So Magneto's in a wheelchair. He's with them, helping them, and he's going to help them with their plan. So, yeah. And they basically telling Rachel, are you ready to do the plan? She's like, yeah, I'm ready. So let's go ahead and activate the jammers. We can go ahead and do this. So, and basically, they basically telling Colossus is telling Kitty, because they're married in this future, like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yes, I want to do this because of all my friends at the Kent of the Seals and our babies. I want revenge for them too. So apparently they had kids and the Sentinels killed them in the future. So yeah, I didn't know that. So anyway, they go to the future, and you're going to remember this scene from the movie. So Rachel Summers puts Kitty in a trance and is going to transplant her body into her past body. So it was Rachel that did that to Kitty. So that's where we're going there. So she does her timey-wimey shit, and we go to the 1980 in the present time, quote, quote, present time. And Kitty is walking in because Nightcrawler is telling him he's late for the Danger Room meeting. And this is her first time walking to a Danger Room session, and she didn't know how dangerous it was. She walks dead into the middle of it, and Angel's trying to save her, but all she's doing is putting her in harm's way. And Wolverine like, don't do that. You're going to get a kill. Meanwhile, one of the X-Men Danger Room robots about to cut his head off. He ducks. He's like, you motherfucker, I'm going to kill your ass right after I say Kitty. And Kitty's getting shot at and shit. She's panicking, so she can't phase out of the way like she normally can. Storm's trying to save her. She throws her. Colossus rips her shit away, but he got to turn to human, because if Kitty lands in his hand while he's a robot or steel, she's going to hurt herself. So he turns into human, and as soon as he turns into human, a pile driver gets ready to splat both of them because he's in human form. And that's when Nightcrawler teleports in there and hits the panic button and saves everybody. And that's when Colossus like right there. And she's like, Kitty, you okay? Like, as long as I'm in your arms, I am, So, and they basically, so I'm like, Nightcrawler, what the hell were you? Like, I was watching Professor X on TV. He's in Washington right now. So I want to see what he was doing. So, yeah. And that's when Nightcrawler is like, Kitty, are you okay? And you can see Kitty is kind of apprehensive even getting next Nightcrawler. She just joined the team like maybe 3 issues ago. So she's not really comfortable hanging around Nightcrawler right now. So anyway, her, Danger Room session, but her Danger Room session is on easy mode. So basically, she just walks through it while facing. She just walks to one end of the room to the next while everything's just trying to crash her. And the X-Men are laughing their ass off because Charles spent all week preparing this shit for her to just walk through it like it was nothing, And as soon as she gets to the end, that's when, boom, she get hit with the timey-wimey, mind-jammy shit, and she passes out. They're like, Kitty! So they take her to the med bay to see what's going on. And Wolverine is looking at her EKG, and she's like, I don't understand any of this shit. What the hell is Charles? And that's when Kitty like wakes up and hugs Nightcrawler. So that's how something is different going on right now if she hugs him. And she's just like, I'm glad to see you again. I'm glad to see you're alive. And she's just like, come on, y'all, we got to go. We're like, go where? And she basically tells him, look, I ain't got time to explain. I'm 30. I'm Catherine Pride. I'm 30 years in the future. I'm 30 years old from the future. Some crazy shit happened, and we need to go to Washington, D.C. right now. And she's like, why? Because if we don't go there right now, because today is the day that Senator Kelly, who's running for president, is assassinated by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Not only does he get assassinated, Charles Xavier and Morgan McTaggart get assassinated with him. And when that happens, that's going to start World War III. So we got to go there right now. And Wolverine, even though like nobody believes her right now, Wolverine can like smell a difference or like sense a difference. He's like, I know she's talking crazy right now, y'all, but I kind of believe her. And Storm's like, look, I don't believe anything she's saying right now. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to Washington. I'm going to have Professor X scan your mind, and he'll let us know if you're telling the truth or not. And plus, if you are telling the truth and they are an assassination attempt on them, if we're there, at least we can know whether or not it's true or not. So they get in the Angels flying ship, well, his airplane, his private plane, and they go there, and that's it. And basically telling him how when all this shit went down, they elected a president that was anti-mutant, and he reignited the Sentinel plan, and they basically went after everybody, even Daredevil, for some reason. Even the Hulk, they killed the Hulk. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, they killed everybody.
I guess,
Spider-Man, yeah, everybody went. So yeah, as we said, if we don't, and basically what happens is that the world confined the Sentinels to the United States, and they said if the Sentinels ever leave the United States and pull their bullshit on outside, they're gonna nuke the U.S. And if they nuke the U.S., World War III starts. So basically, tomorrow in Kitty's time is the time the Sentinels are gonna leave the U.S. United States. So if they don't fix the future now, they're gonna get nuked. That's gonna happen. So yeah. So meanwhile, we go to the future to see what they're doing, and Kitty Pryde is unconscious, and they're basically taking her to the Baxter building because the Baxter building is now Sentinel Central. They killed the Fantastic Four to go to the building. They're like, if we can take out the central location, then that will take out the Sentinels, and we won't get nuked, and we can kind of get our shit back. Meanwhile, Franklin's like, oh shit, the Sentinels found us, and boom, Franklin is killed. This is not God mode Franklin.
Yeah, like
yeah. This is not that. This is not that. This is
this ain't Hickman Franklin.
This is not Hickman. This is not to me my Galactus. You know, we make Galactus.
Yeah,
it's not that.
Resurrecting Galactus to take out fucking
like Celestials and shit,
Celestials
like gods
and
and shit. Like, no, this ain't that. So yeah, so he's killed instantly, and they're like Hulk mutants. So it's two Sentinels like, oh shit. So Rachel blasts one of them, takes one of them out. Meanwhile, Storm is trying to attack one of them, but he's like 2 hours later, her shit's not working on him. So Colossus and Wolverine does the old fastball special, like we did in a while, but let's do the fastball special. So it goes up, up, and away. So he goes there slashing him and gets a kind of good hit, but not a killing blow. So the Sentinel grabs him, and right before he does anything to him, he's like, Storm, I left your opening. And so she blasts the hole that Wolverine left, and that's take him out. Meanwhile, it took everything they had to take out 2 Sentinels. 3 more Sentinels are coming. They're like, oh shit. So Colossus breaks one of the buildings, like the pillar of the building, and it falls on them to slow them down so they can escape. And they're like, oh shit, we can't do this much longer. Meanwhile, we cut to the Pentagon in present day Pentagon. And meanwhile, Raven Darkholme is walking the hallways telling them, okay, I need these reports on my desk and shit like that. And when she goes to private and goes in the room, she turns into Mystique. Now, I had to do some research on it. This is not Mystique's first appearance, but I think this is the year where she was there. I think she was like a Miss Marvel villain at first, and then this is the first time she popped up in an X-Men book. So yeah, but I think this might be the first time we've seen the Brotherhood, the new all different Brotherhood. Pyro is might be his first appearance. Avalanche first appearance. Destiny, I think she's been around. Now the Blob is old school. The Blob he fought the first X-Men. Like he's on the OG Magneto Brotherhood team, so he's the only returning member here. And basically what they're gonna do, she's basically asking Destiny what's the future. She's telling the future, what are our chances, and yeah, that's it. Get to a Blob, don't care, pass. Meanwhile, so why are Professor X and Moira McTaggart at the in Washington D.C.? Because Senator Kelly is about to pass the mutant registration bill. He's trying to get it passed through Congress. And basically, they're here as his character. They're paid as witnesses to say why you shouldn't. So they're basically kind of going back and forth, stuff like that. And then while they're talking, the X-Men show up. Professor's like, "What the hell y'all doing here? I got this. Y'all good." And she's like, "No, Professor, we got an issue. We got an issue, Professor." So he does a mind scan on Storm and Kitty Pryde, and the shit he reads, he's like, "Oh shit! Please don't tell me that's true." Meanwhile, Angel has already been outed as a mutant, so the reporters that see him, they're like, "Oh shit, that's Warren Worthington III. Warren Worthington III. He's a mutant. He's out and about." So then one of the cameramen say, "Oh, go get Lois. Go get Lois for an interview." So which Lois are they talking about? I don't know. So meanwhile, Senator Kelly is still laying on thick, saying why mutants need to be this and mutants need to be that. Meanwhile, the wall is breaking behind him, and it gets broken. And meanwhile, you can see Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen in the panel. So they were talking about Lois Lane. Meanwhile, the wall breaks. Yeah. Wall behind it. And who is it? The Brotherhood. And they're basically saying, Senator Kelly, we're tired of all that bullshit you're talking about mutants. So we're going to show you some mutant menace. And they get ready to attack him, and then boom, and a lightning bolt hit the ground. And they're like, "Who is this?" And they're like, "We're the X-Men." And Blob is like, No, you're not. The only one I reckon is the X-Men is Angel. Who the fuck are you? I don't remember no black chick or no short dude or no blue demon as an X-Men. You're like, we're the X-Men now. And Mystique is like, kill them. To be continued. Time out.
Oh, damn. I was getting into that. Oh.
Yeah, so right when the book gets going, that's when it cuts off. So yeah, so that's the first part of Days of Future Past. You can see some stuff. You can see some stuff in the movie they straight up took from it. Some stuff they changed, like instead of sending Kitty to the past, they sent Wolverine to the past. But it's there. This is the very first time Franklin Richard was ever shown as an adult in the Marvel Universe. So, an alternate timeline. And he was killed immediately. So yeah. Let's see. What hell of a story. Yes. Thank you, Nicholas Nicomba. Yeah, but that's all I got. Like I said, classic story. The next book, I'm gonna do that next week. So if you want to hear the end of it, follow me next week. And like I said, it was just 2 issues. That's all it was. People made us think it was like some big epic. If they made this shit now, it'd be like a 12-issue epic crossover with the Avengers showing up and everything. No, 2 issues. And Chris Man was on some other shit by the 3rd issue. Like completely different shit by the 3rd issue. I think Kitty Pryde was celebrating Hanukkah and the Brew show up or some shit. Like weird shit, like nothing to do with anything. So yeah. But anything else you got, Eli? Or
no, that's it. I mean, I read that Ms. Marvel comic, and that was just
Mutant Menace. So you really went balls deep into X-Men this week.
I'll check it.
She's an X-Men. She's an X-Men.
It was number 1. I was like, I'll check it out. I'll check it, and I was like, it was all right. And then I read that X-Men the weapon because I'll read a Wolverine story. You know, it sounded fun, and it just it was like really long, and I don't know. I was okay. I'm done with. I stopped reading everything after that. I was like, I'm done with comics today.
Miss Marvel has killed your love for comics. Okay.
Yeah, Weapon X-Men. Yeah, I'm done with comics today. I'll come back tomorrow. I wanted to read that. I almost picked up that last Ronin book, but that was like what $9, man. And man,
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of over that story. If you read it, and let me know. If you jump on it, you good. You might sell me on it. I need you to sell me on that book, basically.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm like, I was reading, was it The Lost Years, and I didn't even finish that. So this is supposed to be the new canon with the new turtles, those turtles that grew up or whatever are now. You know,
I don't care. Archimedes, and you got some weird ass names and shit. Odin.
Yeah, but I was like, I would have got it, but $8.99. That's okay.
Yeah, can't do it. So, all right. So I guess that's all we got. I appreciate everybody checking in. We got Eli. We got a full house tonight, as you can see. I'm pretty sure you can tell, but yeah, we got a full house.
Yeah, tonight. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for listening, y'all. Look, if y'all have listened for at least 30 seconds. You have helped the algorithm. You have gotten us out there. 30 seconds is all we need. A cup of coffee. That's all we need. So next week, we're going to come up with some other shit. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I appreciate everybody. We're talking about Akira Toriyama. If you listen to this right now,
journey, sir.
Put your hands in the air. Get a spirit bomb going. Give me your energy. You know. What we're going to talk about next week, I have no idea, but find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. The end.